We've owned our Tesla Model Y for just over a month now. That's allowed us enough time to experience all the pros and cons. Technically, Teslas are considered a luxury car, but if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll tell you exactly why I think they're not luxury cars, but they're in a whole different category of their own. What's going on, guys? My name's David Tomic. I'm a registered architect here in Western Australia, and on this channel, we talk all things architecture and technology. Today, we're breaking down the 30-day experience of owning a Tesla Model Y and exactly what it is like to own one firsthand. So let's dive in with all of the pros. First things first, something that most people will deliberate for a very, very long time, including myself when purchasing this vehicle, is the Tesla Model Y white seats. Now, obviously in the back of your head, you're thinking white seats, incredibly hard to keep clean, and God forbid anything spilt on them or there's any dust or grime on them. Well, so far, so good. In actual fact, the white seats have been incredibly easy to keep clean, and all we've had to do is baby wipe them down every now and again. And to be completely honest, having white seats actually kind of forces you to clean the car a little bit more and keep it pristine, nice and clean, which is its own added benefit. When they're black seats, you kind of stop caring about it pretty quickly and you're just like, well, it's black seats, nothing shows, nothing matters. So at the end of the day, those black seats after a couple of years are going to be disgusting and filthy, whilst those white seats are going to still be pristine, brand new and sparkling clean. Along with the white seats, the minimal interior is by far something that stands out and striking. Everybody who looks at the car goes, wow, there's nothing in here, and that's exactly why I love it. Now, Teslas in general, not just the Model Y, tend to be purchased without ever having test driven one. We, for example, purchased the Model Y without ever test driving the Model Y. We test drove a Model 3 just to see what it was like, and in all honesty, the 3 and the Y drive incredibly similar. Even though the Model Y is a big SUV car, it is still quite easy and quite practical to drive around town. Unfortunately, one of the cons in this category is the simple fact that the turning circle is not the best. It isn't the worst at the same time, but it's definitely not something that you're going to be wanting to go around tight corners in all the time. Something that you get very used to very quickly in a Tesla Model Y is your phone key and not having to carry around any keys. Obviously, we're so accustomed to carrying our phone around everywhere with us nowadays that we don't even think about it. Wherever we go, the phone's in our pocket. So having the phone act as your key has been so convenient. You literally just walk up to the car, it opens up. Basically 99% of the time it works flawlessly. There is that 1% of the time where it just doesn't work, and stick around to the end of the video and I will share with you that 1% experience of why it's a little bit frustrating. Now, when you go ahead and order your Tesla Model Y, you see that glorious shiny package at the end, Tesla Autopilot, $10,000. Well, if you're not already aware, Tesla actually gifted a whole bunch of Tesla owners free 30-day Autopilot for Christmas in 2022. So for the last 30 days, we've gotten to experience the Tesla Autopilot. And in all honesty, in Australia right now, it's 100% not worth it. It does not auto drive, it does not auto steer on city streets. It's basically just slightly enhanced autopilot that already comes standard with the car. And in the real world, you're most likely just going to use the basic autopilot 99% of the time. Talking about spending extra money, the Tesla premium connectivity obviously comes standard with the car free of charge for the first 30 days as well. In my personal opinion, you definitely don't need to upgrade and pay the money every single month to get premium connectivity. Premium connectivity basically gives your car Wi-Fi, allows you to connect to Spotify and all things during your drive. Whereas in reality, most of the time you're just going to be sharing it through the Bluetooth of your phone, and if you're just the sole driver, you probably shouldn't be playing with the screen while driving anyway. Whereas if you have a passenger, it's not that hard to open up the phone and change Spotify. For $10 a month or whatever it is, I just don't think it's worth it, even though it's absolutely minimal in the grand scheme of things. Now, something that I personally think is incredibly unique to Tesla, and especially the Model Y in Australia, because the launch was so highly anticipated, is the community that is built around it. For example, in Western Australia, there's a huge community of Tesla owners, and especially Tesla Model Y owners in the recent months. Because you order a Tesla online, just like you order an iPhone, you have no idea what you're getting. You don't get much customer service, but that's kind of the whole experience. So you dive head on deep, watch videos like these to understand exactly what you're about to get and exactly what the experience is going to be like, and you end up connecting with a whole bunch of people from your community that also drive Teslas. You quickly realize that when you're driving your Tesla around town as well, it is this strange little community feel that everybody waves to each other, says hello as they pass each other by. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have not been in any other car where you drive past that identical car and somebody waves at you. If you have, make sure you leave a comment down below because I'd love to know how many other car brands have this sort of cult following. Obviously, range is one of the biggest concerns in an electric vehicle, and Teslas and all electric vehicles have come so far. Our Tesla Model Y came brand new out of the factory with 435 kilometers at 100% charged. On the website, it promises 455. There is absolutely no way I would expect anybody to get 455 from a full charge. When you jump onto highway streets and are driving at 110 kilometers an hour, this 435 is a complete and utter lie. Maybe you could get that kind of range if you're driving 50, 60 kilometers non-stop, but once you actually hit highway speeds, that drops significantly. In my personal experience, if you're willing to push it all the way to zero and risk your battery going completely flat on the side of the street, you could potentially get away with 330 kilometers, maybe a little bit less, but roughly around that 300 kilometer mark is the realistic expectation of the battery. Most of the time we go about 200 kilometers and we can't make it to our destination because most of our destinations living regionally are 300, 400, 500 kilometers away. And in WA, we definitely do not have the infrastructure to support long road trips just yet. Yes, the government has introduced all sorts of EV chargers coming up, and Tesla is slowly, very, very slowly implementing new supercharger locations. But for example, for our very frequent trip up to the capital city in Western Australia, which is about 450 kilometers away, there is only one supercharging location. If you ordered a white Tesla Model Y like we did, then you probably heard already that the paint is somewhat garbage. Already we've gotten a ton of chip marks and stone marks from the drives and from the trucks in front of us, which is quite disappointing and disheartening because it's only about 30 days old. So in the grand long plan of keeping this car for 8 to 10 years, it's probably going to be completely trashed by the end of it. But hey, it is what it is, and that's just unfortunately what Tesla's basic paint package is. If there was a premium white option available, 100% I would recommend going up to that premium white. There isn't, there's just a whole bunch of other colors, which personally I wasn't too keen on. The gray was potentially nice and the black was nice, but the white was still one of the best colors in my opinion. Now, this next con is a little bit more targeted to the female audience. I know there isn't too many of you on this channel, but it is something that is very important to take note of. So for example, my wife really doesn't like the headrests in the Tesla Model Y for the very simple reason they're not adjustable and they lean forward just that little bit too much. So whenever she has her hair in a ponytail or a bun, she can't really lean back her head properly on that headrest. So if there was some sort of adjustable headrest, that would have been amazing, even if it was slightly tilted back just that tiny bit. Now the white seats aren't all glorious. There is one con, and it basically came default out of the factory. The seat belts do cause a little bit of damage to the white seats, and it would be nice if you could fold them away, hide them, tuck them somewhere where they aren't actually touching those seats at all. The front two, drivers and passenger side, are perfect. They don't touch anything, they actually sit to the side of the seats, but the rear seats are a little bit of a problem. Now, if you're going to work every single day and leaving a car parked somewhere in a public car park, it's probably really nice to keep Sentry Mode on because you get all the information if somebody ever scratches it, dents it, or God forbid, something worse. But unfortunately, Sentry Mode does actually use quite a little bit of electricity. So for example, I only live about 5 minutes away from the office. For me to drive to and from work uses less than 1% of the battery. However, for the car to be stationary all day and to have Sentry Mode on uses anywhere from 3 to 5% of the battery every single day, depending on how many people activate and trigger that Sentry Mode. So this is just something to keep in mind if you are planning on using Sentry Mode, don't have too much battery left, or you simply just need a lot more battery to finish your destination at the end of the day. One of my last cons is something that you don't actually notice and don't pay attention to unless somebody's standing outside of your car and is going to tell you when you're doing this. So one of the best things about a Tesla Model Y is that you can play all sorts of games when you're sitting inside the vehicle and waiting for somebody to rock up. Now, the game that's very similar to Mario Kart is by far one of the most fun and by far one of the best games on the system. However, if you turn that steering wheel and you're playing the Mario Kart game, what you will never notice is that the wheels of the vehicle actually turn. Yes, Tesla disables most of the functions so that steering wheel is very light and fluid. However, your wheels are still going to be turning ever so slightly and damaging your tires. So this is something to keep in mind if you ever plan on playing that game. Now, like I mentioned at the start of this video, Tesla is considered a luxury car. It is in that 60, 70, 80,000 plus price range, depending on which vehicle and model you get. Now, before the Tesla Model Y, we had a Mercedes. And the Mercedes was brilliant, it was very luxurious, and it is typically considered a luxury car as well. There is a vast difference in quality and construction still. The Teslas are built incredibly well, and honestly, there is no flaws in our Model Y, and it is near perfect. However, you can just tell that the quality of the materials, the quality of the plastics, the leather, just isn't up to speed and up to scratch of what Mercedes, BMW, and other luxury car brands are. However, Tesla is also a technology company. They are so focused on the tech, and the updates that roll out every month approximately are incredible, and your car is constantly evolving and updating. Something that the Mercedes never did. In fact, if you wanted to even update your maps, you'd get charged $500–600 just to upgrade the maps on the system. So it's in its own class of electric vehicle luxury cars, simply for the fact that it is boosted by the technology behind it. Anyway, that's all from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know if you want to see more of these videos. If you really loved the video, make sure you check out the playlist to the side of me, and there's also the subscribe button just down below. Like I said, that is all from me, so I'll see you next Monday.